Welcome to the biggest and best breakfast show in Singapore and, well, the world.
Yeah.
It's Glenn, Angel, FD, and Shaun, and today it's Therapy Tuesday with the one and only Dr. Geraldine Tan. Good morning. Okay, Jerry, so what are we talking about today?
We're talking about secondary trauma and trauma and its effects. I think it is time for us to talk, especially we are all unmasking.
I thought you were going to say we're going to talk about sex because you said
secondary.
Secondary, not sextendary.
Okay, so what is secondary trauma as opposed to primary trauma?
Trauma is when, so primary trauma, right? Primary trauma, you're there at the scene, you're directly affected by it. Secondary trauma was quite much later. So secondary trauma, because these group of scientists were realizing, hey, how come the police, the first responders were actually showing signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, but they were not directly there at the scene, right? So secondary trauma is when you've been exposed, not directly to the trauma, but there could be prolonged exposure. It could be looking after all the trauma victims, that you actually also display trauma-like symptoms. So compassion fatigue is sometimes what we call it. Yeah.
Okay, so Jerry, this brings to mind something. This was years ago. I had a conversation with a guy who's now in the insurance business. He used to be a policeman. And he said that he saw so much violent crime that it completely desensitized him. Would that be a form of secondary trauma?
So desensitization may or may not be. I mean, unless he has flashbacks or there is other sort of dysfunction that we might see. Yeah, so other symptoms that we might see. It could be him being trying to cope with the whole situation. But if he was there and he saw and he was part of that whole scene, it could be trauma. So it could be him avoiding the situation. That means his brain doesn't want to go that direction. So it could be also direct trauma.
Okay. Just wondering.
All right, let's continue to talk to Jerry on the Big Show TV while we take a listen to
Direct trauma, peripheral trauma, stuff that you're not directly involved with. Does it only typically happen with things like accidents, or can it be emotional as well?
So one of the reasons why I want to speak about it is, first of all, I want to give a shout out to all the teachers, all the frontline workers, all the healthcare professionals. They are most at risk during this COVID period for secondary trauma. Because they have to deal with all these stories. They have to deal with, people telling them so they may or may not have gotten COVID, but they hear so many stories. They see so many things. I remember a friend from the hospital, and he was sharing, like in the peak of the whole COVID, whenever they hear a certain alarm, it might not be a very loud alarm, but it's a sound. So they know that someone with COVID is coming down the corridor. Everybody has to just scatter, stay in their rooms, and then that visual of colleagues coming in hazmat suit, just wheeling down someone or bringing down someone really, really, really fast. Now, I don't know whether it's really fast or it was his perception that it was really fast, but that leaves that visual impression on this particular colleague who is at the front line also, you see. So we don't need to be directly there, but we can see things going on, and it leaves that impression on us, and it does take a toll on us.
So it's an emotional burden because people hear about all this.
It is. It's quite stressful. So they would describe it as stress, but it's hard to say that it's your stress because they don't they know it's not their stress, but yet at the same time, they feel something. So it is real. It is not like a fiction of or figment of your imagination.
Yeah. Do you think these people dread doing what they do? Because
No, they don't dread.
They don't?
They don't dread. They don't.
But some of them don't have a choice,
do
right?
Burn out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Some of them do burn out.
As in, like, just thinking about going to work, in an environment where it is chaotic, for example. And it's not just at hospitals or whatever. I'm just thinking about all our friends who work in the F&B industry.
Yes.
On a busy night, let's say, at the restaurant, if they're understaffed,
Yeah.
they could experience secondary trauma as well.
Yes, they could. So different people would perceive things differently, and it impacts them differently. So whatever they see, whatever they hear, whatever they smell, whatever that is there, can impact them. But it might not be the event that was occurring prior to that. So they see the aftermath of it. Yeah.
How does it impact them?
Yeah, what are the effects?
What are the effects of
Or
secondary
the signs
trauma?
and symptoms, yeah.
So there are so many different kinds, right? And you know the trauma one, which is the flashbacks that would be, the high anxiety, the hypervigilance that they would display. But for those with trauma-related sort of disorders or secondary trauma, it might not be as clear-cut. It could be things like losing focus. So very ADHD sort of symptoms, they cannot concentrate. There might be regressive behaviors. So you see somebody acting a bit more clingy, a bit more whiny. In children, you actually see them bedwetting.
Oh,
right? Or so regressive sort of behaviors. Now we also interestingly have more sexualized behaviors. Then you have all the mood sort of related signs and symptoms, the extra sleepiness, the or hyper alertness, or you have the what do you have? Let me see. I have it here. Extra energy, the aggression. Some of them are very aggressive, very irritable. They are more short fuse. Some of them say that they profanities just come out of their mouth.
Are the signs and symptoms correlated to the trauma itself? Like you said, aggression. So could it come from an aggressive situation that they become aggressive, or they're not in relation to each other?
It may or may not be. It may or may not be. It could be, even COVID. COVID has brought about some people's irritability, and because of that, they may be a little bit more short fused. They may be a little bit more curt. They may be a bit more verbally aggressive. They're more vocal.
But I think it's almost clear to me that a way for them to manage these situations, by being aggressive, you are acting strong. It is a way for you to not submit to a situation perhaps maybe you feel is hopeless. You don't have a choice but to face the situation on a daily basis. So that aggression, just like when you're angry, you punch the wall or you punch a sandbag or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. Don't you think, Dr. Jerry?
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. So why do you need to act strong, right? It's because when the whether it's trauma, direct trauma, secondary trauma, your environment is not safe anymore. So you want to be a little bit stronger to ensure safety. Exactly.
So is this why, my personal feel, is this why we saw an increase in violence and aggression during the pandemic?
it is a possibility. I mean, there are many research out there, and researchers are doing their best to try and pull it all together. But it could be one of the contributing factors that people are feeling more irritable, they're feeling more pent up, they're feeling more frustrated, and they don't know how to express it, and they don't know what to do with it. So it's then, transposed onto another person.
So all those feelings are part of secondary trauma.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So you see, some of the students. So one of the big things in school now, you hear a lot of students talking about, I cannot focus, I cannot concentrate. Now, students listening in, please do not use it as an excuse. But many of them are suffering from trauma-related issues because of COVID.
Okay,
So they
Jerry,
have
hold on. We'll go for a traffic update, and then we'll continue to talk about that. FD, you can bring that up.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Good morning and welcome to Therapy Tuesday with Dr. Geraldine Tan. We're talking about secondary trauma this morning.
And we were talking about aggression. We were talking about a confrontation. Is this aggression and the confrontation we have seen during our pandemic here in Singapore, is that part of secondary trauma caused by COVID-19?
It could be caused by the secondary trauma-related sort of behaviors, because we've been through so much over the last 3 years. It's almost 3 years now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And it's so protracted, it's so prolonged. Do we actually think that we're going to get out of this scot-free? I don't think so. Some of us, it will impact us a little bit more. And we do see that in schools. So we see a lot more ADHD-like symptoms. They can't concentrate, they can't focus. They are a little bit more aggressive in schools. We see quite a number over the last year or so, being so aggressive. Yeah, so many of the students actually present those symptoms, the regressive symptoms, the aggression, or the extra pent-up energy, sleep issues. A lot of adults and the youth find it really difficult to sleep. I mean, if you are in trauma or you are not safe, you won't be able to sleep. You're on hyper alert all the time. Your brain is very chaotic.
So you're saying like a lot of students are showing ADHD-like symptoms, and a lot of people are finding it hard to sleep and so on and so forth. Will this translate into a society that becomes like this in the future, or is there a way to cure it? Is there a way to soothe it and find ways to fix it?
So again, that's with all the increase in colleagues, and all the counseling and mental health help out there. So we are working with it, and we are working with the different people that actually need it. And it does need to be acknowledged. I think the first thing is to acknowledge that I'm not feeling comfortable. And then, to identify what is causing it. Because it might not be as clear cut as we think it is. We are talking about it, but for them who are going through it, it might not be so obvious to them.
But like earlier you said, to the students, don't play the I can't concentrate card and say that you're actually going through something. What's to stop anyone from playing the mental wellness card, right? With something like this and say, I'm going through trauma because of COVID, because of, working from home or whatever it is. How do you know which is real and which is not?
So we always have that danger of, is someone malingering, right? It's quite easy to pick them out. It's like when you go to the GP and you say, I've got a headache, I've got a stomach ache, and you put on that very pathetic face just to get that MC. Do you think your GP actually don't know that you're faking it?
Oh, they don't? They do? Really? No.
Damn.
Although years.
Everyone thinks they're a good actor.
Right? It's like your parents can't tell you haven't finished your food or you actually have a stomach ache.
Okay, let's continue to talk to Jerry on the Big Show TV here.
Mental health card is very hard to tell, right? Because so many people are
playing
that
it
one.
today.
Yeah, so many people. Everything is like, okay, I'm not going to be singing anymore because I have mental issues. I'm not going to be doing press conferences. I'm talking about the big celebrities and all that, but I'm sure on a ground level, people are doing that as well.
Yeah, so mental health breaks are slightly different from I've got a mental health issue. So yeah, mental health break, you go for that 1 day, 2 day sort of break and you just take time for yourself. That's permissible. But when you're talking about somebody faking it, now that is actually, in the long run, we can call it out. Yeah.
But Jerry, when someone is on the verge, let's say, of a maybe not a breakdown, but perhaps maybe is experiencing a higher level of stress, is it possible for that person to fight it and get over it? Because there's some people who can and some people who can't. I feel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you give in to it, then you're submitting to it. It's like, okay, I can't deal with it anymore. I'm going to see a psychologist, or I'm going to take medication, or whatever, right? But do you think some people can actually overcome this? Like they could be at the brink, right? And then they work things out on their own and overcome it themselves. Is it possible?
When we look at disorder, there is an issue that is going on, but every one of us have the ability to ride through life and deal with problems. So let's not dismiss that fact that we are stronger than we let ourselves believe. So although we are talking about mental health issues and, we encourage people to come forward, but it doesn't mean that every single person will break. No, it's not, it's not every single person will get the cold, right? So some people are definitely, even if we get a cold, we get over it.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to that. Our bodies are really resilient. Our brains are very resilient. There is neuroplasticity. The brain is rejuvenating itself all the time. So it doesn't mean that if we are in the rut, that's the end. That's not true. So those that are feeling really, really down, that's not true. You will see a crack and you'll see light coming through, after that hump.
The reason why I brought that up is because of what Angel said earlier on, right? I mean, it's like many people play the mental health card right now. And I feel like for some people, if they keep on playing that card, they're not going to get stronger.
They eventually will actually get worse. Yeah.
Exactly. Because, I mean, growing up, I think all of us have gone through some very difficult times, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And at that time, we never had access to a psychologist or psychiatrist. It never crossed our minds. We always
get
thought,
over it.
Yeah. You try and deal with it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, even today, I mean, there's some people who try to get over it, but they can't. And that's okay for them to get help. But there are others, who just immediately say, okay, I'm mentally ill, and
I give up. Yeah.
It might not necessarily be the best thing.
So how important is it for us to try on our own before we say visit a psychologist?
Well, I'm trying to advocate more people to come forward and have mental health checkups. Right. So if you come in for your mental health checkup, you clear a lot of like dirt and mud and everything, and you go out and you go out on a clean slate. You're definitely much clearer. You don't have those brain fog, or you feel a bit more assured, and that's very, very helpful. So it's no different from your dental health checkup, physical health checkup, where you don't need to have an issue to go to the doctor or to the dentist, and they assure you that you've got a clean bill of health, that you're good to go. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's a big issue, though, Jerry. I think a lot of people only think of going for a mental checkup
When they have a problem.
When they feel they have a problem. If they feel everything's going all right, then I'm not going to go.
But I think that's okay, though. If you think you have a problem, like I told you guys,
think
right?
you
So,
don't.
so I went to see a psychiatrist, and my dad passed away, right? Because I felt like, I mean, obviously, I've never experienced,
Something like that,
the death of a parent,
Yeah.
and it's different,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So, I was concerned. It was on my mind. I felt a bit strange. So I decided to go see a psychiatrist, right? And after that one session, I mean, I told him everything that was going through my mind, and he said, "Glenn, you'll be okay." And that was the first and only time I saw him. But I'm glad I went to see him.
No, I understand that you had an issue, but what I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry. What you're saying is, the man in the street should just go and be checked.
No.
On a regular basis. Is that what we're saying?
No.
Yes, that is what Jerry is saying.
No, but if the person doesn't have a problem, why should the person go and see a psychologist
that's why
or a
she
psychiatrist?
said even if whether you don't have a problem with your health, but you go every year to get a health check. She's saying the same for a dentist as well. You go every 6 months or whatever to get your teeth checked, cleaned up, and all that. So it's kind of like cleaning all the fog in your brain, little cobwebs and whatnot that are inside, just so you go out clean.
I take it as, and see if I'm right, Jerry. I take it as you go for this checkup because do you really know?
Okay.
You may have a problem, but you don't know it's there.
It's
like
I don't
you
see
may
that
not
bit, though,
you may not have a cavity, you may not have
Yeah.
a crack in your tooth, but you go to the dentist and you find out you do.
But then you're going to come out like feeling worse off than you did
No,
going in because
you've already-
suddenly you
no.
have a problem you didn't even know you had.
You've already started the process, and you can now get help.
How do you approach this, Jerry? Would you be asking, let's say, the person
what goes on?
questions?
Yeah.
I don't mind seeing you on a regular
Oh,
basis.
forever, like
There goes again.
You knew it was going to happen, right?
Yeah, at some point he was already very quiet for a few weeks
right?
already, Well, I guess because I'm so passionate about it, right? And I feel that people should come forward, whether you have an issue or not. When you have an issue, definitely, without doubt, go to a professional. But when you don't have an issue, I think why I pushed for it so much was during the whole pandemic period, you have higher number of youths having suicide. You have a higher number of geriatrics having geriatric depression and suicide. So with a friend, I started to then we actually, I was really just crazy and I say, can I do a mental health checkup for your seniors? And we targeted seniors who look at psychologists and go, what are you? We don't want to go and see. I'm not crazy.
They're not used to it.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah,
Jerry.
but-
Hold on. We got to go for another traffic break. Hold on, huh?
Okay.
Morning, Singapore, and welcome to Therapy Tuesday with Dr. Geraldine Tan, award-winning psychologist who joins us every Tuesday at this time. Once again, good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
So, Jerry, we were talking about why you advocate these checkups, even if someone doesn't feel they have a problem.
Yeah,
Why?
regular checkups.
Regular
Yeah,
checkups.
people were
Why?
just
Regular
listening to us.
checkups.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was saying that I started my center started something with one of the elder care centers, and we did it for the seniors who are very skeptical, seniors who are like looking at us, psychologists like, you're aliens. I don't want to see you because I've got I'm not crazy. So that's that generation. But my friend was and his team was really lovely, and we did it on Zoom. So we did it, we're doing it twice yearly for them, and most of the time they have no issue. So we'll do a little exercise, then we'll do a survey, and then we'll have a little chit chat with them. everything within half an hour, so really fast. And some of the seniors, most of the seniors are okay, but some of them have a little bit of issue. So we just alert the social worker to just pay attention to them and just look out for them. So it's like what FD say, that little blind spot that sometimes you don't recognize in the family, who have seen you day in, day out, have not picked up on it, but may need to look out for those signs and symptoms.
What are the kind of like blind spots that you have seen and the little signs and symptoms that people may not see outright?
So some of them are the depressiveness, some of them, for the seniors, the mental health declining, that is not so overt that you cannot see. Their activity level, their social level. So we check all these different areas also. So that's for the seniors. So for the adults would be different, for the children would be definitely different. Yeah, so different developmental age group will have different things that we look out for.
Okay, all right.
You see, Jerry, I'm wearing blue right now. I'm wearing my Everton jersey because I used to support Manchester United, but they were giving me mental problems.
Yeah.
The inconsistency,
Secondary
the lack
trauma.
of
There you
fighting
go.
spirit,
Secondary trauma.
the fact that they're a super rich club, problems behind the scenes. So I said, no, enough. I can't. This is not good for my mental health.
It's funny because yesterday you had a day off, right? And
Yes.
over the weekend, Liverpool did really well with
Yeah.
that 9-0 score. Yesterday, he proudly came in with his jersey.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, because you weren't around.
Oh,
Yeah,
So I come in with the jersey regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, Everton could be relegated this season, but it's okay because expectations are not that high.
You're
Yeah.
still a
And,
loyal fan.
yeah.
He's still
And I have
loud
my
and proud.
Everton bathrobe.
Yeah, that's
Just
just
very
in case.
comforting.
Yes, okay.
yes. Okay. We continue to talk to Jerry on the.
This trauma and the different signs and symptoms.
Yeah, and we,
How do we help someone?
how do we help? I guess maybe a bit more about how do we notice it,
Okay.
because there's this sensory soothing that we are noticing nowadays, right? So we hear a lot of the parents complaining, oh, my teens are gaming a lot. So sometimes it's the sound of it, sometimes it's that where it drowns out whatever that's going on in your head, or the visual stimulation when you're playing the game, or even like Netflix, when you're binge watching Netflix to comfort and escape into it, right? So it's that visual soothing that is helpful for them. Sometimes it can be touch. So I'm like looking at Glenn and I'm going, maybe he needs that tactile,
the fur.
soothing.
Exactly.
He was talking about his bathrobe. He was talking about his shirt, and of all things, he draws our attention to his shirt,
Yeah.
So
Nice one. I should be seeing you more often.
but touch also, sometimes we do see some of them who are traumatized or have trauma related issues become very promiscuous also. Yeah, so the
Is it-
sexual part.
Is it because that gives someone pleasure and
Yeah, so
kind of
the
takes their mind
soothing-
off? Yeah.
Yeah, so that soothingness,
could it-
the pleasure.
Could it also be the need to please somebody else?
We are not talking about this pleasing other people. We're talking about
Themselves.
self-soothing.
Okay. Internal. Okay. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Actually, I think FD has a bit of an issue. I mean, I've been working with him for so long. I think I think that's something, because especially over the weekend we were at the Gain City event, right? He didn't buy a laptop.
Oh,
Usually he'll buy like 1 or 2 laptops.
Oh, how many
But this
laptops
time
do you have?
he didn't buy anything.
I had this condition, Jerry. People would hire me to go to tech shows and host tech shows.
And you always
And
buy a
I
laptop.
would spend more money than I earn.
Exactly.
And Glenn hasn't seen me do this, so he thinks
he didn't buy
You have an
anything
issue.
over the
thinks I
weekend.
have an issue now.
I'm like, at least a fridge, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you have
if
an
it's
issue,
not a
FD?
laptop.
No, I've just gotten smart.
You should go and see a psychologist and clean up your head.
Honestly, I have been thinking of seeing someone of late. I have.
Okay, why?
I have. Because, and I give Jerry credit for this, because I've discovered I can talk to someone. Because Tuesdays for me with Jerry are incredibly therapeutic. Incredibly therapeutic.
Did you say you want to see Jerry?
No, I said someone.
Someone.
I see.
I'm not like you.
Because I'm about to go like, what?
I'm
Oh,
not like you.
when you mean talk to someone, you mean talk to a psychologist?
Yes.
I thought he said, I finally realized I can talk to someone. I'm like, who is behind you?
So I feel now, having gone through these sessions with
yeah.
Jerry, that I can
Open
open
up.
up to someone. I've always been very closed. I
Why?
don't-
Why is this? I don't understand why people are so closed.
But different people work differently.
Because it's my business and nobody else's.
Yeah,
That's
there you
always
go.
been my thought. It's my business and nobody else's. But I've realized talking to Jerry that I can talk, and talking makes me feel better. You've heard me talk about my problems with Jerry here, and it makes me feel so much better. And I've learned I can do this.
Because over the years, I've heard you talk about your problems on air, so I thought maybe you're just
No.
like, okay.
That is simply venting. That's simply venting.
You can vent to a
goes deeper.
psychologist.
You can,
Goes
but
deeper.
this goes deeper. It's almost calming. Having, I look forward to Tuesday because it's calming for me.
You should start charging
that
him,
is
no,
so
Jerry.
nice to hear. No,
it's
I
very
mean,
true.
this is
It's very
what
true.
more people need to understand. And I would like to say that, it is a very, very privileged position to be in, whether it's on Therapy Tuesday or also being a psychologist, where I think what FD is saying is that it leaves you very vulnerable when you're talking to a therapist or a professional. Yeah, and that space is very precious because you can talk to a friend, but you would try to filter some of the words that you say. You
Yes.
present it with a
because
script.
they're so judgy.
Yeah.
People can be judgy.
Yeah.
Straight away you say something, they're like, oh, even though they don't seem judgy.
Yeah.
I mean, I get.
But deep down inside,
they're
right?
like, oh,
they're
thinking, now I know all your secrets.
Yeah.
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 So with a psychologist, with a counselor, it is safe there. You're not going to be judged. You can tell us about anything at all, and it is okay. You are
Right.
okay.
And
You're
it's a very
accepted as you are.
cathartic experience,
It is.
isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you're just
Well,
opening
Glenn
up
had it.
floodgates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Floodgates.
Glenn
Did you
did
cry?
that.
Did
Yeah.
you cry?
No,
Why did you choose a psychiatrist over a psychologist?
because I was like, hey,
You want the
maybe I need some medication.
Terrible.
Okay, so I just want to say, One FM Fancy, you guys are so lucky, right? If you want to see Jerry, you can just go
Yeah,
and
we can't.
give her clinic a call and make an appointment. We
Yeah.
cannot.
We can't
Yeah.
see the best.
You guys are lucky.
Yeah.
You guys are lucky.
Anyways,
No, my team is awesome. They're just amazing. So don't just look for me, look for my team too.
So,
I met-
your team, we're not allowed to see
Yeah.
you, but we can see your team. Oh, okay,
Yes,
there
you
go.
can.
how
You
come
can.
all of them are watching us also?
Yeah, they already know us.
I'll tell them not to watch you anymore.
Erase everything. Oh, we wanted to ask you: do you do hypnotherapy?
Yes,
Oh,
hypnotherapy.
you do. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we can
interesting.
talk about it one of these days.
Wow, it's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Hypnotize me, Jerry.
She's gonna put a little
No.
swinging.
No, we don't
use
do
that?
that anymore.
No, you don't.
But you used to.
You don't use the watch.
You guys.
And I listen to the snap of my
Nobody
finger.
does that. It's on TV.
Stage hypnotherapy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Or
you-
Hypnosis.
stage hypnosis.
Hypnosis,
Yeah.
Yeah, you see stage
Hypnosis,
hypnosis where they
yes.
just touch you on the head and go sleep and boom.
That's church, right? Okay, anyway.
Glenn,
Last words,
Right?
Jerry.
What can we do?
Last words.
Last words, or what can we do? Okay, just very fast one. Five
Okay.
things that we can do. We need to create the safe environment. We need to give them a choice so they know that they can make a choice. We collaborate with them. So whoever that's around them, collaborate with them. We don't impose on them, and we allow them to trust us. So we need to carry out whatever that we say, and we empower them. We affirm them. So that would be the 5 things that we can do.
Okay.
And I can give the conclusion.
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go. So it's by this author, Rabindranath Tagore. And he says, faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark.
Oh,
That's
Wow,
lovely.
that's lovely.
I can almost picture that.
The bird?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
So no matter what, the little bird will still sing even when it's very, very dark.
Yes.
Little white
True.
bird. I
Yes.
see
The
a
sun
little-
always shines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jerry, for joining us this morning.
I'll see all of you next week. And
Okay.
stay
Next
safe.
week.
You take
Take
care.